What's up, St. Louis? It's your host, Luke Firaol of the STL Bucket List Show. The STL Bucket List Show is driven by Bomarito Automotive Group. Bomarito is Missouri's #1 car dealership with over 20 locations, so I guarantee that there's one in your neighborhood. Since the 1970s, Bomarito has sold over 1 million cars, and John and the entire team made us feel completely comfortable when we picked up our new vehicle recently for the family. So I can't thank the Bomarito team enough for driving this episode forward, and enjoy the show.
If you want to hear about St. Louis, tune in to the Bucket List Show weekly. Hear what Marissa and Luke say. It drops every Wednesday. Got a dope new guest every single week. Buckle up for the ride. Who's it gonna be? Who's on the show today? They rep St. Louis. What to do in the loo on a late night, or maybe what to do on a date night. Yeah, Bucket List has you covered. They know what's going on. What's going on? They'll give you, hey, 18 different things to do, or 19 if you need one more to choose. Yeah, this city is a place we call home. A place we call home. Yeah.
What's up, St. Louis? We're back with another episode of the STL Bucket List Show. I got a very special episode. This is a first for us. We're making coffee in the studio with Moi Coffee. I got Firaol Ahmed on here.
Yeah, Luke, thank you for having me. I've been watching and listening to your podcast for a minute since I started my business about a year ago. So
nice.
It's huge for us to be here. Thank you.
I seeked you out. I've been following along on Instagram. You've been doing a new series. You're on episode like 7 or 8 now, and you've been pumping out content focused around coffee and conversation, it seems like.
Yep.
But I want to tell the people, St. Louis is such a big coffee town. As you know, there's so many incredible local coffee shops. But I want to learn more about Moi Coffee. What does it mean? Tell us about the story. Tell us how you got started. Let's go from there and then work our way forward.
Yeah, definitely. So Moi Coffee started out of my dorm room at St. Louis University. I'm a student athlete at SLU, and then between my freshman and sophomore year, I had a stress fracture. Mm-hmm. So I wasn't going after anything, right? As an athlete, you're so used to always just every day working towards something, and then all of a sudden when you can't do that anymore, it feels as if like something is missing, right? Mm-hmm. So I started thinking of business ideas and such. I've always been entrepreneurial, even when I was 14, 15, starting in high school. Mm-hmm. And my mom went back that summer and brought back some coffee from my family's farm in Ethiopia, which is where I grew up also. Mm-hmm. And I gave it out to some friends and my coaches and teammates, and they fell in love with it. They mm-hmm. were telling me how good of a coffee it was, and it's some of the best coffee they've ever had. And the idea sparked, and I figured, you know what, maybe I could find a way to import a larger quantity, like learn how to roast and then find a way to sell it. And then, went for it and started it out of my dorm room.
So this was last year? This was
the end of 2022, December 2022, yeah.
And I think it's really cool because you're like building in public. You're showing people your ups, you're showing people your downs, you're talking about your business journey and your process. So being from Ethiopia, and you go ahead, make the coffee, man.
Okay,
we're tying coffee live on the studio.
Yes.
So I get to try it for the first time. It's a little late in the afternoon, but I got a concert tonight, so it's gonna keep me up and keep me ready to go for the.
It's gonna let you conquer the night.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So Moi means conquer, correct?
Moi means conquer. Yep.
Okay. So your motto is conquer the day.
Our motto is conquer the day, and it's a very common saying, but. Mm-hmm. Our motto comes from when I first moved here at the age of 14. Mm-hmm. I moved here from Ethiopia, didn't speak any English, went to a school where all immigrant kids go to learn mm-hmm. English. Mm-hmm. And after I got here and been here for about a month or so, and then I kind of adapted to the culture, I realized there were so many opportunities around me mm-hmm. that I did not have back home, right? Opportunities that I could have never imagined mm-hmm. in Ethiopia.
Yeah.
And, if I wanted to be an athlete, as long as I work hard enough and if I was good enough, I could be a professional athlete. Or if I wanted to go to college, I could do that. Or if I wanted to start a business, I could do that. These mm-hmm. are the things that people in less fortunate countries could only dream about. So mm-hmm. that's when this idea of okay, every day I have to gain something that I didn't have the day before. Mm-hmm. Every day I have to, whether it's learning or doing something that I wasn't able to do the day before. So I came up with this idea of just keep stacking days, and hopefully it will compound and you'll achieve your goals and make something out of yourself. So
Yeah,
that's where
that's
it comes from.
incredible. And first of all, like I'm an entrepreneur myself, so
Yeah.
I understand the grind, literally the grind, the coffee that goes into it. But being from Ethiopia, I think people take that for granted, the opportunities that we have here in our city. And our podcast is really focused on St. Louis and supporting entrepreneurs in St. Louis. And I think that my thing about entrepreneurship is if not us, then who? And if not now, then when? You came from Ethiopia at 14 into Missouri, the middle of the U.S. Nobody speaks your language. Nobody knows the things that you're into. So tell us about those struggles, because it wasn't easy, I'm sure, coming from, because you had friends and you were in middle school out there. And like, how was that? And why did you guys come to St. Louis?
It wasn't hard. It wasn't easy at all. Sorry, it wasn't easy at
Yeah.
all. So my mom had moved here when I was actually 8.
Mm-hmm.
So she to find a better life for herself and also hopefully for me in the future, she had moved to a refugee camp in Kenya, which is south of Ethiopia, and then from then stayed about 3-4 years in the refugee camp, and then moved here in 2009, and then she waited till she became a citizen, and then I came over in 2017. So I didn't get to see my mom for about 8-9 years.
Wow.
And I had
She did that for you guys, though.
she
for your
did that
family.
for us. So
Yeah.
if she hadn't, made that decision and sacrificed what she had sacrificed, I wouldn't be here. There wouldn't be,
Yeah.
we wouldn't be sitting here and having this conversation. So as much as it was a little bit of, growing up without my mom was a bit tough, but I think it's worth it, right? That's why I'm here, and that's why it's one of the things that gives me a lot of drive in my life. Is like, your mom went through a lot to get you here, so make sure you take advantage of.
Take advantage of the
Yeah.
opportunity, and then do whatever it takes to make something of yourself here.
Exactly.
And were you always into entrepreneurship? And
I was. So I grew up with my grandparents back home when my mom left.
Yeah.
And my grandfather owned a shop, and he was actually the first one to. So our family, this is coffee goes way back in our family.
Yeah.
And it was my great grandfather that lived in a small village in Ethiopia. So to get to this village to this day, you would have to walk about 8-9 hours in the mountains to get to. A car cannot get you there. If you're lucky enough, maybe they put you like.
So you would start in the morning, and then you wouldn't get out there until the evening.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
And then how'd you get home? You got to stay overnight and then come back the next day.
Yep.
With
That's how it is.
backpacks full of
backpacks and everything.
heavyweight.
So,
Yeah.
So my grandfather, when he was like 20, about the same age when I started Moi Coffee, he's the one making these dots when I tell him about it. But connecting these dots, he decided to move out of that village, move into a city, and take these coffees that his father was growing in this village, carried it for like 8-9 hours, sell it in the city, come back, do it all over again. And he got like wealthy enough that he could afford to. This was like 60 years ago, right? He could afford to buy donkeys to start carrying coffees, and slowly, he was able to open a shop. And then, and my mom was born in the city, and then I also grew up in the city. So he's been an entrepreneur, right? All out of necessity. And I grew up just seeing him, a 75-year-old, man, get up 5-6 a.m. every morning, go to work, come back at night. And that's where some of my drives come from. Also, it's like that's how that's what I grew up.
You have to take
seeing.
inspiration from people, and you can't. And this is one thing, especially in some of these countries that you're talking about, is like you have to see somebody be successful for you to think that you can be successful.
Yep.
And that's what I love about America is like we have all these books and all these people that we can read about online and the internet, and you can watch YouTube videos about all these people that have what you want.
Yep.
In the coffee business, I was talking to Jason over at Northwest Coffee. Have you met Jason yet?
Oh yeah. Of
Yeah,
course.
good
He's
dude.
A good friend.
Good dude.
Yeah. Great
And he
guy.
was talking about, we did a partnership with Square.
Yeah.
And he was talking about the origins of coffee, being from Ethiopia, being from Africa. And he talks about that.
Yeah.
Not many people talk about Ethiopia for coffee as much.
Exactly.
And you're trying to bring that narrative to St. Louis and say, hey, this is where the origins of coffee are from.
Yep.
So what does that mean for you to be able to look at your grandpa and say, hey, I'm bringing this to America now? And like, is that a good feeling for you? Or
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was. So honestly, all I'm trying to do is take what has been deeply rooted in my family for generations and take it one step farther and find a way to offer it to the world, right? Coffee's been in our family for ages, almost 100 years, almost a century. So for me to carry on this legacy and say, hey, I'm going to find even a bigger way of doing this, is like something that my grandparents are really proud of when I talk to them, and something that I'm very proud of also, that, you know, I'm choosing to go down this route to carry on our family's legacy and also share one of the best things that Ethiopia has to offer, which is our coffee, you know. So
That's special, man.
Yeah.
I mean, coffee is one of those things. It's like, it's the same with food. And there's a couple great Ethiopian restaurants in St. Louis as well. But
Yep.
it's coffee is the one thing where it's like, we all like it, no matter what culture, no matter what, you know, language you speak. Some
Yeah.
countries you go over to overseas and they drink espresso. Here in St. Louis, they drink lattes with all this sugar and all
Yep.
this other crap.
Yep.
But like a lot of us just like that generic black coffee that gives us the energy that we need,
Yep.
but also is enjoyable to the taste, because there's a lot of coffee out there that doesn't taste great.
Yeah.
So what makes, and I'm about to try it, guys.
Yeah,
I'm about
yeah.
to try it, but like what makes Ethiopian coffee, and is this some of the same beans from some of the same villages that your grandfather worked in back in the day? Like some of these beans that you're getting shipped over here?
Yes, so one of our coffee, the Harar, comes from the same village that
Yeah.
our family started out of,
Yeah.
and then we have two other that comes out of different regions in Ethiopia. But what makes Ethiopian coffee like so unique is, if we're talking about the product alone, is just like the taste of it, right? A lot of times before I started getting into coffee, I used to have trouble just drinking coffee because I would get like it would make me anxious,
Yeah.
and it would, you know, the caffeine was too much for me. And I come to learn that lower quality coffees actually tend to have a lot more caffeine than higher quality coffees. So, and then after I became a roaster and learned a lot about coffee, and then, you know, got hooked on our coffee.
Yeah.
I wasn't having that issue, right? It's flavorful. A lot of people who usually don't drink black coffee comes back to me and tell me that this is the only coffee they're able to drink black without adding any sugar or sweetener to it. So
Right.
the variety and the taste, and just naturally, organically, it comes with a lot of uniqueness.
Yeah, I had that the first time I started drinking coffee. Was you would get that like shaky feeling, and you'd be like, "Why am I feeling like this?" It's the same thing you get from energy drinks, because it's some of that artificial and some of that stuff that's added to it. But when you have that like regular espresso or like organic espresso, like when, you know, I was in New York and I was having Italian espresso, and it's just that perfect amount. You take that shot. You don't need all the other stuff. It's completely healthy, 0 calories. So like back home, they didn't add milk and sugar and stuff to
No.
coffee. No, like you get made fun of if they did
Oh
that.
yeah, you get me.
They're like, "Oh, you're soft."
And one of the things we started doing this Your Story, Our Coffee episodes, is like in Ethiopia, about 70% of the coffee produced is consumed within the country. This is like unheard of. If you look at any coffee producing countries, right? Brazil, Colombia, most of the coffees are exported. But Ethiopia is one of the coffee producing countries that consumes most of it. As much as we consume so much coffee, if you go to Ethiopia today, you will never see a person drinking coffee alone. It's not the culture, right? A lot of times coffee is consumed all day, but it's always
With
in a
somebody.
group. Yeah, with somebody.
You don't just like grab a coffee and run to work.
It does
you
not
know?
work
It's
like
a, it's
that,
a,
yeah.
It's meant to sit. It's almost like wine, where you sit with each other and you drink wine. Like many people are drinking wine with a friend or a lover or something like that.
Exactly. It's like a ceremony,
Yeah.
you know? So, and I figured, you know, if we're selling Ethiopian coffee, we might as well bring that cultural significance to St. Louis and see how we could, you know, we could spread that community aspect of coffee.
It really is. And with you being in St. Louis, is this where you fell in love with coffee, or was it back home and then, or because you moved here when you were 14? Were you drinking coffee back then?
I was not drinking coffee.
I was
but
gonna say nobody drank like
yeah.
coffee in high school. I feel like people were like, "Oh, you drink coffee?
Right.
That's crazy."
Yeah.
You know.
But I did grow up making it. So back home, what happens is we come back home from school, and then when you get home, neighbors are at your house and stuff, gather with your family.
And your parents or family would be like, "Go make them a cup of coffee."
Yep.
you
Yeah.
know?
So you would go and like you would roast it on a pan on a fire, and like you would grind it on the spot. So I grew up doing that. So I knew. And then we also had like coffee trees in our backyard and everything. So I grew up knowing how coffee grows, what kind of, you know, what is like the best
Soil and
yeah,
nutrients.
soil and
Yeah.
like ecosystem to grow good coffee, and also how do you take that coffee and make it into like a good cup of coffee. I grew up knowing all that. So when I decided to like go down this path, it came to me a lot easier.
Yeah.
So yeah.
That's crazy. Like taking those life experiences and making that into something special, because when you went to SLU, you were an athlete.
Yeah.
You know, and then you probably called to your family and like, yeah, I'm gonna start roasting coffee. They're like, no, we sent you to school. Like, you got to go do something else. What are you studying in college? Are you studying entrepreneurship?
I came in as an entrepreneurship major.
Yeah.
Because I was very passionate in high school.
About business? Yeah.
I've started multiple businesses in high school, just like coaching, soccer, and like reselling shoes and all the stuff like that.
All little hustles.
Typical side.
Because you're like, I
hustle.
need money. I want to go out, and you know, it's
Exactly.
expensive to be in college.
Yep. So, and I came in to study entrepreneurship, but I quickly realized that it's not something you just sit down in a classroom and learn.
Well, a lot of the time, some of these teachers never started their own businesses.
True.
And I don't want to talk about other teachers, but like sometimes you want to learn from people that are actually doing it. And that
Yeah.
takes you actually going to do it, because you have to fail
Yeah.
in order to learn, you know,
Yep.
and I'm sure you failed a few times.
Oh yeah, I agree. And SLU, we have like, we're lucky. We have some of the like greatest entrepreneurs teaching us. The Professor Sheets, he's director of entrepreneurship
Yeah.
at SLU, and like I had classes with him, and I learned a lot, right? But you just need entrepreneurship is a lot harder than just knowing what you need to do. Like a lot of times things don't go your way.
Yeah.
And going out and actually doing it and learning by doing is the only thing that's going to help you actually become a good entrepreneur, right? You can know as much as you need to know,
Yeah.
but if you don't have that perseverance and that grit and also that boldness to just like, you know, go after whatever you want and not be afraid to fail.
Right.
If you don't have that, it would be tough to succeed. That's
Right.
one thing I learned. So that's why I switched over to finance and decided to just become an entrepreneur by practice.
So you started about a year ago.
Yep.
You're selling, you know, coffee by the bag. You have an e-commerce store.
Yep, we do e-commerce.
So
yep.
you ship, and then you're selling in some stores. You're now in a coffee shop,
Yep.
which is amazing.
Yeah.
So
we
people
just-
can get your coffee at Century Coffee over in the City Foundry.
Exactly.
That's
yeah.
incredible.
They could.
How'd you get in there? You just went in there with your
I
coffee?
just went out. Went
That
in
entrepreneur
there.
stuff, bro. Come on.
Yeah. You
Knock
just
on that
gotta-
door.
You just gotta go door to door, man. And then I've gotten a lot of no's, and you know, once in a while you get a yes, and that one yes is worth 20, 30 no's that you get. So
Exactly.
yeah, I walked in, talked to great people, Matt, and then they tried our coffee and they loved it. And so yeah, we're in Century Coffee, our first coffee shop actually.
Yeah, that's
So,
incredible. So
yeah.
you plan, like, what's the long-term mission? Are you going to be, you know, you want to be a wholesaler? Or are you planning to open up your own coffee shop? Or
Hopefully, someday open up a coffee shop. I would love to be able to do that. But right now, I think like grow a brand, right? We, I think we're bringing something different to St. Louis and also to the coffee industry. We're bringing a company that is focused on one product, but we want to have the best Ethiopian coffee you could find anywhere, but we're only gonna have Ethiopian coffee. So
that's it.
that's it. You know, we're gonna have one type of product, but it's gonna be the best product that you could get anywhere on the industry. So that's one of my goals right now, is like focus on just building an Ethiopian coffee brand, share the history of Ethiopian coffee, share the history of the Ethiopian people, and share the cultural significance of the Ethiopian people and everything. So yeah, that is one thing we're working on.
So build the brand. So you've been building the brand. Now you're out doing videos. Was social media something you were always into, or you knew that you needed to be good on social media in order to get the brand where it needed to be?
I'm not good at social media, but I'm
Learning.
learning.
It's important for business, though.
It is very, very important.
Yeah.
That's one thing I learned, is like it's very important, right? We have it's funny because Moi the day is like our motto, right? Moi the day, and most people don't even know what Moi means, right? It's a whole different language, but I'll be walking around campus, or I'll be practicing running through campus, and I'll hear people go Moi the day, right? All this is because of social media, right? When you're doing marketing, is the amount of time you could repeat yourself and tell your message, you know.
People recognize you on campus now.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So like that is because of social media, because of social media, we're able to build a brand that people remember and that stands out to consumers. So that's
So Moi the Day is your coffee, but like how do you personally take advantage and conquer each day? Is it with your sports? Is it through working out? Like what are the things that you do to Moi your day?
I think my rule is
Which Moi means conquer. I know,
Yep,
but for
yeah.
the listeners, yeah.
yeah. Moi means conquer. I forget sometimes.
Yeah, people
which
are
one
like,
is-
wait,
yeah.
what does that mean?
yeah. But I think for me, it's like make a list, do the list. You know, like I get up every morning and I just pretty much write down everything that I need to do. And I do not want to go to bed until every single thing on that list is crossed out.
Yeah.
That is one way of winning. Some days like is 20, 30 things. Some days is 10. Some days is 5.
Yeah.
But I get up and I plan my day and I wouldn't
It's a
want
good practice.
Yeah.
It's a good practice to do that because winning the day is not a big deal, but when you do that 365 times in a row,
Yep.
it's like a book that I read that I refer to a lot called Atomic Habits, and it's these small micro habits that you create each day. So like when it comes to your videos, it's like I need to go out there and record this video today. If I don't do this, then I will miss a week, and then I'll miss another week, and then I'll miss another week, and then the whole series is people were watching, they're following you for that.
Yep.
You know, and you're having interesting conversations with these people. But it's hard with business because not only do you have to be good on social media, you also have to be able to source and pay a right amount so that you can make good margins. You also need to be able to actually sell the product. You don't have big storage. You're probably still storing it in your room.
Yeah.
You know, so I don't know if you have a roommate, but your whole room probably smells like coffee all the
Oh,
time.
it does. Yeah.
Yeah, which is
All
not
the
a bad
time.
smell.
Yeah.
So we're pouring some coffee now. So tell me about this process. So is this how you guys made it back home, or is this something that you
Oh no,
developed?
this is
Yeah.
this is way too fancy for Ethiopia.
Yeah, they didn't have all this. Do you send
No.
your parents some stuff out there and be like, hey, use it?
I'm planning to go back this summer to visit this. I would love to take all of these things back home.
Would
and
they be
show
like,
them
what
how
the
they,
hell is that?
Yeah, they would be like, what? Just all this just to make
Yeah.
coffee.
Yeah.
There's your coffee. Look.
Thank you, sir.
But yeah, this is pour over. This is one of the best ways to make coffee, in my opinion. It is a slow brewing process, which will give you, it will allow you to taste all the uniqueness of the coffee.
Yeah, it smells great.
Yeah.
Wow, that's fantastic.
Yeah.
That's good.
This is our best seller. So I
Is it?
brought, yeah.
Is
I
this
brought the
your,
good
what brand
stuff.
is this?
This is the Sidamo.
Sidamo.
Yep.
So we're getting like notes of lemon, some berries, and then that natural sweetness, is that cane sugar?
Yep,
Okay.
natural sweetness.
Is that
cane
added
sugar.
into the roasting process,
No,
or is that
it's just-
naturally in the field when you guys produce it out
Just
there?
naturally. This is determined by like the altitude where the coffee grows, as well as how the farmers produce it after. If you didn't know, coffee comes from a fruit. It comes from cherries, coffee cherries. So
I didn't know that.
yeah, a lot of people don't know, which is kind of cool. But the taste is determined by where it grows, right? The altitude, and also how the farmers process it from the cherries into coffee ready to be exported.
So do you think that you have an advantage growing up in Ethiopia, being able to work out deals and work out with farms and different things out there? Because a lot of people that are trying to import Ethiopian coffee, they're probably going through a bunch of different distribution sources and they're not able to go directly to the source, you know? So are you able to go directly to the source out there and find different ways to actually get different product in?
Yeah, and I think that is one of our competitive advantages. And we, as a company, we want to.
Good, bro.
Yeah, let's go.
That's fire.
It's gonna keep you up tonight.
Oh yeah.
But we, as a company, our goal is to transfer all the benefit that come from that connection onto farmers, right? What happens is the way the coffee industry works is there is a farmer, right, and then there is a dealer within Ethiopia. Let's take Ethiopia for example, but this could be applied to any coffee producing country in the world. There's a farmer, and then there's a dealer in the country in Ethiopia who goes around, buys coffee from farmers, and then who sells it to people who export it, right? People who export it, they export it, and then they sell it to people who import it.
So the farmer
to-
gets a little bit, the dealer gets a little bit,
Yeah.
the exporter gets a little bit, and then you're paying a bunch in the U.S.
Exactly.
to get
The
it.
pie just gets keeps getting smaller and smaller, and by the time the coffee is gets to the end
Gets to us.
channel, the farmers make the least amount of money, even though they work the most, right? So that is one thing we want to fix, at least within Ethiopia, by kind of just like going to farmers and working directly with them, and then transferring all that benefit onto them so that they could actually sell their coffee for what it's actually worth, because they do make good coffee.
Sell less and make more.
Exactly.
And
Yep.
then work with you. And as you grow, you'll grow with relationships and be able to ship in more. Because like right now, you're probably getting in so much. And then, hey, you're starting to sell on e-com. Once you get like 10, 20 coffee shops, you're like, hey, I need keep that coming.
Yep.
Because
Exactly.
then you come to St. Louis. So tell me about that process. So you get it from the farm, it gets to St. Louis, you pick it up. Where are you roasting this at?
So this is our coffee is roasted at First Crack Coffee, which is a commercial roastery.
Mm-hmm.
And you go in, they have a bunch of roasting machines, and you
So
rent
you
out
go
a
in
machine.
there and you
Yep.
taught yourself how to do that? Too?
They teach you how to do it.
Okay.
Yeah. So I took class to learn how to do that,
Yeah.
and then yeah.
So now you're going in there, you're just pumping.
Yep. I just
Yeah.
go in there 2-3 times a week
Yeah.
when we're busy, and then about 1 to 2 times a week when we're not. And we try to roast a small batch, but roast it more frequently so that when our customers get their coffee is as fresh as it could be. So yep.
That's one thing that I really love about it is it's you're roasting it in St. Louis and selling it here to people in St. Louis. And but I want to get off coffee just a little bit because you moved to St. Louis when you were in high school. Tell us what this city has meant to you. I mean, tell us what the city of St. Louis, the people here, have they embraced you? Tell us about some of those things that the city means to you.
Oh, definitely. I think St. Louis is like my home, right? Came in, I remember living, we used to live in a neighborhood right next to St. Louis University, South Campus.
Yeah.
And I would go to this soccer field and I would play soccer just on my own my first year in St. Louis. And I told myself, you know what, I kind of like this place. I want to go here for college, not knowing what is the cost to get into such a good college. And lucky enough, I was able to do that. And the people of the St. Louis, I think what I like a lot about St. Louis is the diversity and like how much the people here are so open to differences and uniqueness, whether you're from South America or, wherever you are in the world, they'll always accept you. And it's super diverse. And that's one of the things I really, really like about St. Louis. And that's why we want to keep building this company here, because a lot of times I get asked if everything is to go as we plan, do we plan on going somewhere else? Not really,
Plan on building here. You're right in the middle of the country.
Yep.
The diversity's there, the International Institute, all these different things for refugees and people that are immigrants to be able to get them to St. Louis. And it's really, a unique spot. And then we talk about the food all the time. You go down South Grand and you have all these amazing restaurants.
Yep.
And I just love it. And I think with your coffee brand, I could see you having a restaurant on South Grand or like a coffee shop that serves amazing food. Do you cook too or no?
I don't cook.
So if you had a coffee shop, would you have food or would you
I think
outsource pastries and stuff like that?
Yeah, we might do that if
Because like what's Ethiopia known for? What kind of food? Because I know there's a few restaurants like Mescarim and stuff like that.
So Mescarim,
amazing food.
Yeah, that is what
That's
Ethiopia,
your spot.
Yeah, that's what Ethiopia is known.
You go there a lot.
Like dish, all kinds of traditional food. But
But like for a coffee shop, so like if I'm back home, if I'm in Ethiopia, is there coffee shops or is it more just at everybody's house? Like nobody's going to a coffee shop, or where are they?
Usually there isn't a lot of coffee shops.
Yeah.
If you go to Ethiopia, you would see a lot of people making coffee on the street, and
Selling
then it's
it.
just selling it on the street, and there's a bunch of like these small chairs that people just sit on, and they kind of.
But there's not like these amazing coffee shops that you would see here in the U.S.
Nothing fancy like that.
Yeah.
There are some that are popping up after that are owned by like these huge exporters, but usually nothing fancy. It's just a lot for coffee, and then people just drink it on the street, which is kind of
And
cool.
how much would a cup of coffee out there cost?
Probably maybe
in U.S.
20 cents.
In U.S. dollars?
Yeah.
Wow.
A cup.
And you come here and it's $5.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying.
Do you tell like your people out there, you're like, you know how much I'm selling these bags for? And they're like, wait, what? You're selling those for $20?
I think one of the coolest things that ever happened to me since I started this business is Ethiopian farmers are going through this time where they can't sell as much coffee in Ethiopia, right? Prices are cheap, so they're not profiting a lot. They actually lose money by growing coffee in Ethiopia right now because of the economy. And what started happening was they started cutting down trees. This is specifically in a village that my grandfather was from, right? And farmers started cutting down coffee to, plant different crops. And words got around, and they learned that there's this kid who moved to America from, like this town and started a coffee business. And all of a sudden, like farmers stopped doing it because they thinking that, like,
They're holding out hope for you.
yes,
They're like, we're going to stay here for him because we want to support him.
Yep. Yeah. Like if this business keeps growing, like we
We'll
want to
grow
be
with
able,
it.
yeah.
Yeah.
So, and like that is one of the,
So some of them were getting rid of their farms to plant other stuff.
to plant
They were
other
more
stuff.
profitable.
Yeah. But
Yeah.
now they're like, and they stopped doing it because we started getting coffee in a small quantity from them. And now that we're growing, we're like importing
Yeah.
larger and larger quantities. So hopefully one day we could get to a point where,
You have your own
all
farm.
of those farmers, like we could buy coffee from them and
Yeah, exclusively.
Yep,
And have deals with all of them, and then like support that whole entire like village off
Exactly.
just what you sell here.
yeah. So
Yeah.
that,
And then you
that
go
is-
back there, and like it almost reminds me of the tequila business, like in Jalisco and all that. I don't know if you know much about tequila, but like tequila, there's this one country in Mexico that does all of the tequila in the
Yeah.
whole entire world. And it's just tequila all day long. Being able to replicate that over in Ethiopia with coffee and just be like, hey, we're only doing coffee all
Yeah.
day long, and being able to, because your goal is not just to be in St. Louis. I'm sure it's to be in cities all across the nation.
Yeah.
Groceries and different things like that.
Definitely.
But there's something special about a coffee shop and being able to sit there and serve, because then you can talk to people.
Yep.
So that's kind of why you started your coffee series, because you can actually talk to people. You're asking them questions, and now I'm interviewing you
Yeah.
instead of you interviewing me.
Yeah.
But we're gonna do one of those. We're gonna do one of those videos too, for sure. But what is some of the stuff you've learned when people try your coffee? Because a lot of these people are drinking a bad word, Starbucks.
Yeah.
Come on now.
Yeah.
We gotta
We
take
don't-
Starbucks
yeah.
out. Come on now.
Yeah. Not a big fan of Starbucks.
Yeah.
Um,
So what are the type of things when people try your coffee, they might be drinking another cup right at that moment, and then they try yours.
So people are. It's funny because people who are not used to good coffee don't know how to explain it, and like that is one of the funniest things. Is like we did an experiment on campus where we went to Starbucks, got black coffee, put it in a thermos, and then we also put Moi coffee in a thermos, and a bunch of
Did a
students
taste
tasted
test?
it, and then we said we're not going to tell you which one is which, and tell us which one you like better. And I think about like 98% of students, we had like hundreds of students taste it, told us they like Moi, but they can't tell you why they like
It
Moi.
just tastes better.
Yeah, it
but
just
there's
tastes
it's
better.
not like soda or anything where you can strictly say, oh, it's sweeter or it's this or it's this.
People like you're a coffee person, right?
Mm-hmm.
You probably would be able to tell, oh, I like this because it is smoother,
Yeah.
it goes down easier, or it has this tasting
It's not
notes.
bitter.
Yeah, but people who are used to just drinking lattes and like like sweeter coffees, they just know it's good coffee and they don't know what
Well,
makes
that's
it
the thing about lattes is you could put any coffee in it and it's fine because it
True.
overpowers it.
exactly.
But then it comes down to what milk you're using, and then what this, and then there's all these things. And this coffee's like $10. It's
Yeah.
like, coffee's not supposed to be $10.
Yeah, no,
and
it's
it's not supposed to be 1,000 calories. Either.
exactly.
You
So
know, it's not healthy. So tell us about sports. So you run track still?
yeah, so
Yeah,
I
what
run
do you compete in?
track. Distance, so I do 5,000 and 10,000 on
Oh,
the
wow.
track, and I also run cross country. So
Yeah.
we run all year long.
Yeah. So how do you balance sports, school, and your business? I mean, you're working probably 7 days a week, I'm sure.
I do, yeah.
Yeah.
I think that it's fun, right? It's like everything that I do for the business doesn't feel like work to me, right? I get up early and then I just a lot of times like I'm working, and the only time I'm working all day, and the only time I'm not working is when I'm eating food. That's when I just like sit down, watch TV, eat my food, and then I just get back to it. And the reason I'm able to do that just 7 days a week is it doesn't feel like work. I really, really enjoy it.
Each
So-
aspect. You enjoy sport, you enjoy school, and you enjoy coffee as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but
There's
as-
not one thing where you're like, man, I really. Is there times when you're sitting in class and you're like, man, I really want to go roast?
Yes. Yeah. It's as the business is
Yeah.
growing, and like right now we're as a company, like I'm having to solve like some of the biggest
Issues.
issues that I've ever
Obstacles that you're jumping
encountered,
over. Yeah.
Yeah,
Which is
so-
good. That means you're growing.
which is good, right? Like the growth is hard, and
Yeah.
in times like this, I'm sitting in class, and to be honest, like I'm thinking about these
And
problems.
you're trying to solve an issue while you're trying to do something else. You're like, yeah, let me
Exactly.
hop on Shopify real quick.
Yeah.
Make sure that order went through.
or like let me cold email like
Yeah.
these like real estate companies to see if we could find location or anything. So
Yeah.
there are times where I'm like focused on coffee. But a lot of times I would say I'm pretty balanced. But yeah, sometimes I have to prioritize. And
Well, the balance is difficult. I don't think there's real balance in life because you're always going to be on one side of the scale. You're either going to be going hard on your business or during certain times you're going to be going hard in athletics and then other times. But as long as you find time for, friends, family, and make sure that you keep those relationships because those are the people that are your first supporters, and finding a way to find that. But you're doing all the sales, you're doing you're doing sales with your coffee, you're doing, obviously roasting it.
Yeah.
You did say you were starting to outsource some marketing and stuff like that.
Yep.
Still involved, but like, you're like, hey, I need help. I need somebody to film these videos. What has been the hardest thing about the sales process, because everybody knows these big brands in town, Caldi's and Blueprint that's sold around there. And you're going into these apartment complexes, you're going into these dorms and be like, hey, we want to be your coffee provider.
Yep.
Is it just price or is it quality or what's hard about the sales process?
I think the hardest thing has been two things, right? One is overcoming and being okay with getting a no. That was like the first one, right?
Yeah.
Any salesperson could tell you that, like, it's just something that you gotta do.
It's part of it.
Yeah, like you just gotta do it to get good at it and not really care when you get no's. And then I would say the second thing was knowing a lot if I should fake. Like, this was a tough decision for me. Do I fake it or do I just be myself? And right? A lot of times they tell you fake it till you make it. And when I started out, it's like, do I go out and when I'm selling, I tell these companies how big we are and everything, or do I just tell them, hey, like, I'm a student, I started a business out of my dorm room. If you like our coffee, we'd love to work with you. If not, and I thought about it for a long time before I decided to just be myself. And so every time I go sell, whether it's a Fresh Time or whether it's a big grocery store, I just tell them that I'm still running the business out of my apartment in college. And we've even though I'm doing that, we've done some cool things like shipping to 44 states in like a year. So yeah, I think overcoming
being
that,
yourself
like being
is
yourself,
the biggest thing, because then you don't have to remember what you said.
Exactly.
As long as you're honest. And I think people in St. Louis specifically want to support a story.
Yeah.
We're buying a story that just happens to have coffee, but I want to buy your coffee now because now I know you. Now I'm buying from you. Now, as you scale, that gets difficult, but that helps with your marketing. Is like, how can we tell this story over and over and over again?
100%. Yeah. And it happened to be like one of the best decisions I made, because I realized afterwards, like, people weren't actually buying my coffee. People were into the story. And then what brings them back is
coffee's good.
The coffee, right? Like, the coffee is not the reason they're initially
because if it wasn't good, they would just buy
product.
it one time.
Yeah, right? So, and it's, that was one of the things, is like just being myself. I'll tell you this, I've lost a lot of sales. Like, I've lost a lot of good opportunities because people are like suspicious that I run a business out of my apartment. But at the same time, like, there wasn't, I didn't have, it's not like I had
funding.
Like funding, and I chose to do this, right? So it's like,
you have to.
I was,
all the best businesses were started in garages and apartments and basements. And,
so I was okay with like losing the opportunities if people are suspicious, and
you'll come back. You'll come back around.
So
and then the price will go up a little bit.
Yeah. Sometime soon, man. Yeah,
man, it's fire, bro. And I think that, me just watching, I see so much in you that, like, how old are you? 20?
20. I just turned 21. Yeah.
21?
Yeah.
Let's go.
Yeah.
Hey, we need that espresso martini. We need a little booze in here. Let's go. But being 21 years old, being in college, it's using this time is almost like your business is like, this is another class that you're taking. And it seems like the school's behind you. It seems like the entrepreneurship department's behind you. But when you graduate, are you a junior or a senior?
I'm a junior.
Junior. So you got one more year, but once you graduate, like, what's that plan? Are you gonna go into full-time business, or you just working that out right now?
I think full-time business.
It has to be.
Yeah, it has to be. Even
you go get a job and then the business, it's never gonna grow until you get that full-time.
Yeah. Oh, definitely. Yeah. I think I'm also like, one of the things that allows me to be so fearless when it comes to taking risks is like, I grew up in Ethiopia, I'm living in the US right now. Everything could go against me for the rest of my life, and it will still be like, I could be at the lowest point anyone could be in the US, and it will still be better than the where I grew up. So I'm like, when it comes to taking risks, I'm super like out there, right? I'm not afraid of taking risks because of where
Where
I
you
come
came
from.
from.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so 100%. I
Yeah.
can't wait to do that actually, like go all in and see where it goes.
That's what it takes, man. So I'm 28, and
Yeah.
I quit my full-time job in 2020,
Yeah.
March. So right when the pandemic, and then I've never went back. So we're going on 4 years now. But really, for the first 2 years, I didn't make $1.
Yeah.
So it's really, doing the same thing over and over. And I'm not better than anyone, but
Yeah.
we've built our community just by consistency.
Oh yeah.
We just stay in front of people every single day. When you come to St. Louis, if you're a student or if you're 40 years old, you go to STL Bucket List, you know that every single day we're going to give somebody something cool to do in St. Louis.
Yep.
That's it. We don't talk about bad things that happen. We don't talk about the news. We don't talk about that. We just say, hey, do you want to try this cool local business? Try it
Yeah.
out. And we've done that every single day for 4 years straight. And really what we built is this community of people that rely on us now. Now it's a
Yeah.
privilege. Now people with your coffee, it's not just you anymore. It's like, hey, man, if you stop, then how am I going to get my coffee?
Exactly.
And being able to do that. And I see you having a coffee shop in St. Louis, and I see you having all these things, but it's just taking those small steps. You can't go too fast,
Yeah, true.
because it's a big thing. And being a solo entrepreneur, so you're the 100% founder,
Yeah.
solo entrepreneur.
yeah,
It's hard
solo.
that way. It's
It's hard
because you have nobody to rely on.
Yeah.
You got to show
But
up.
it's worth it. When I'll be honest with you, when I started, I did not think it was gonna be this hard.
Mm-hmm.
And then, but by the time you realize how hard it is, you're
Mhm.
also too deep. You
Yeah.
got customers to serve, and you got farmers back home thinking, you're gonna be the one who's gonna buy like so many pounds of coffee from them.
Yeah.
And
And you're
by
like,
the
I'm not there yet.
Yeah,
You're
by
like,
the
"I'm not
time
there."
you realize how hard this is,
Yeah.
you're too deep, and
Right.
so the only option you have is like be like, let's see where it goes. I just gotta,
Mhm.
just keep my head down and work as hard as I can.
So what tips would you give to younger entrepreneurs? And you probably talk to some.
Yeah.
People come to you for advice now and stuff. But like, what is like somebody that's maybe 18, 19 years old and they're asking you, they're like, hey man, like I'm trying to start this business. Like what is some simple advice that you would give them?
I think this one might surprise a lot of people, but my advice always is don't give yourself enough time to think about it.
Mhm.
Right? With anything, if you give yourself enough time to think about it, I promise you will come up with more compelling reason not to do it than to actually go
Facts.
after it. So just the from I think the time between getting the idea for Moe Coffee and actually like getting the Shopify account and like
Mhm.
ordering coffee was 2 days for me.
Yeah.
So in like 2 days, I went from having the idea to like calling back home and saying like, send me 60 pounds of coffee.
Mhm.
If
And
I
you're
had
putting money in, you're investing right off the bat.
exactly, and
Yeah.
that there's this thing I call a point of no return for.
Mhm.
I feel like every founder or every business person has that. Is you for a lot of people is when you spend some type of money and then you just can't go back. Like
Mhm.
you can't just say, oh, I spent $2,000 now. You know what? Never mind. I'm
Right.
not gonna work on this idea. So
Mhm.
yeah, my advice is to anyone who wants to do something is like don't give yourself time to think. If you want to do something, just do it and then find out if it was worth doing or not.
I agree with that. And I think that anything that we've ever done,
Mhm.
I stay up all night. Like I'll think of something, I'll stay up all night. And then the next day, like I already have a website, I already have a logo,
Yeah.
I already have all this thing. My wife's like, you're crazy. Like, why are
Yeah.
you doing that? Why are you spending that money? But I think that and then having no plan B. I think when you have a
Oof.
plan B, which you're in college right now, so
Yeah.
you technically do have a plan B.
Yep.
But if you have a plan B, it just gives you an easier way to quit. The people that quit are the ones that have backup plans. When you have no other, like right now with my business, like I have
Yeah.
no other thing going. Like
So you
this is
have
it.
to make it work.
This is it. Like this
Yeah.
is what pays. I just had a child. This is what pays our life.
Yeah.
So like when you have that no options mentality, you work harder. You take no, but instead of taking no and going home, you go to the next place.
Yeah.
And it's really like there's nobody else out here. You're 20, 21 years old. There's probably one out of a million people that are doing what you're doing right now.
Thank
So
you,
it's a
man.
lot easier than what you think. Entrepreneurship is hard, but there's not many people are taking these easy jobs and these
Yeah.
desk jobs, and it's going to be great. They're going to make a bunch of money
Yeah.
right off the bat, but you work on this 5 years from now, you're going to look back and be like, dude, I got 6 coffee shops. I'm shipping out all
Yeah.
the schnooks, all the fresh times. And it's just manifestation. And really, the law of attraction has been big in my life.
Yeah.
You have to visualize
True.
the life that you want before you get it. And at the end of the day, you're selling coffee, but how can my coffee be more impactful than everybody else's coffee? So yeah, man, I mean, I'm proud to call you
Man,
my
I
friend,
love
man.
that.
Thanks for
Yeah.
coming in, bro.
Of course, man. That was great. Having no plan B.
Yeah, have
I
no
think-
plan B. I mean, your mom might be listening. She's like, no, have that plan
No,
B.
yeah, you
Go to
need-
finance.
You find your plan C too.
But really, if you do fail, and
Yeah.
it's so easy to get another job.
yeah,
So many places are hiring.
Oh,
I
yeah.
mean, it is, because then that's the thing is like, when you work on your business, like you're probably not pulling any money out, I'm sure yet or anything. But even if you are pulling some money out, like every dollar that you make in business is building something that you could eventually sell or pass down to your family.
yeah,
You can't go work in a finance job and give that job to your kids.
yeah.
You can't. You can
Exactly.
give them money, but like
Yeah.
you can't give them the job. But
The
if you have a
job.
coffee empire, you
You
give
can-
that to all your family and then
Yeah.
all your family back home, and you're actually making a bigger impact.
Yeah,
You know?
I think the way I look at failure is like Mark Cuban is I think he
Yeah.
goes, you in business, like you only need one home run,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah.
Like you could fail as many times and you hit one home run and you're set for life.
Yeah.
Right? The moment you start thinking that way, you could fail 10, 15 times and you're like, well, I just need to do it once.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like
Because coffee maybe it's something else. You never
yeah,
know.
you never know.
Yeah.
Like if
This is just your
fails,
training. This is your
Yeah.
training. Yeah.
I tell my mentors a lot of times, it's like, if this fails, like in
We're
a
rolling on
week
to
or
something
two,
else.
or like by the most is I would wait 1 month before rolling out something else.
Yeah.
Because I just enjoy this process of like figuring things out and
Mhm.
not knowing what I'm doing, but still go ahead and like try to do it.
Yeah.
So definitely.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah.
Well, it is the STL bucket list show. So I want to talk about STL bucket list with
Yeah.
you. What are some of your favorite places to eat? What are some of your favorite things to do in St. Louis? Like if you're going out for a night, if you're going out to eat, tell
Yeah.
us about some of your favorite spots to go to,
This one is
or coffee shops too. I
Yeah.
want to hear about some of your favorite coffee
Okay.
shops.
favorite coffee shop. Favorite coffee shops. I like Quarrelsome.
Mm-hmm.
Just opened up.
Yeah, very pretty
Yeah, very
location.
pretty. And I also love Northwest Coffee.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's one of the coolest spots in town.
Yeah,
I
oh,
mean,
yeah.
In the summer and spring, can't beat that.
Yeah, I love Northwest. I mean, the vibe and just the people who work there
Yeah.
and everything.
And
so-
Jason's there all the time.
Yeah.
roasting. He'll talk to you for hours.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
Jason is a great guy.
Yeah.
But I think food is tough because St. Louis just have so many good places. I love gramophone.
Yeah, sandwiches.
Yeah, sandwiches. So I go there
Fire.
a lot. Yeah, it's like I
Late
think
night, too.
it's also within my budget. So
Yeah, you
you know,
12
I'm a
bucks, you
college
go-
student.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you can't
know,
be
I
going
go
out to the nice restaurants. yet.
exactly. So
Yeah.
that like within my budget, but still pretty good.
Yeah,
Pretty good place to eat, I think.
yeah. What about like? Do you like any events around the time? Like, are there any cool events that go on that you definitely go to, or any like parks or anything?
I run a lot in Forest Park.
Yeah.
But besides that, I'm not a big like events guy. I don't think I've actually ever been to like an event. It's weird to
Like
say
a
that
party
as
or
an
a
entrepreneur.
festival or something?
Yeah, and I
They have
just,
that festival right on your campus, Music at the Intersection. That big music festival.
yeah.
Yeah.
I never went.
Yeah.
It was crazy.
You got to go serve coffee there.
I should probably do
I'll
that.
get you in touch with them. Do
Yeah?
some coffee there. Yeah.
Actually,
Yeah.
heck yeah, man. I'd love to do that.
Yeah, and I'm gonna hook you up with some of our partners, like some places that you could do.
Yeah.
We work with some coffee shops around town, so I think it'd just be easy to get you in there and really start selling some stuff. But dude, I appreciate you coming on, man.
Bro, yeah.
This
man.
coffee slaps, bro.
No, thank you
Come
so
on
much.
now,
This
and then
is-
we'll do our video. We'll do it over at SLU or something. We'll do a video.
Okay.
On campus or something. That'd be funny.
Heck yeah.
So-
I'll let you know when we record and
Yeah.
if you guys want to show up and
Yeah.
we get it going.
Appreciate it, man. Well,
Yeah.
hey, STL, we'll see you guys next week. Thank you for tuning in to the STL Bucket List Show. And before we leave, can you tell people your website and your social? Just like follow you.
So our social is Moi Coffee, so MOII Coffee, no space. And our website is also moicoffee.com.
Yeah.
That's where people could place an order. And then we do local deliveries for people in St. Louis. And I'm also the delivery guy. So you will see me at your door if you place an order.
Let's go.
Yeah.
Yeah, guys, go order some. Tell them STL Bucket List sent you. Get some of this coffee. I'm telling you guys, this process is great. Even if you don't have the setup that you have, grind these up. You can put it in a
Yeah.
Keurig.
Yeah.
Yeah, grind it up. Put it in whatever you really want, but just no
French
lattes.
press.
Just
Yeah.
have that coffee, man. Come on now. No lattes are fine.
Yeah. We're coming out with espresso roast soon.
Mhm.
So in about a month or so, we're going to
That'd
have,
be good.
for
Yeah.
people who like latte.
Yeah.
We're not anti-lattes.
Or just a straight espresso. Sometimes I've been drinking just espresso
really?
from places. Yeah.
I can't do that. It's
too
weird
hard?
that
It's hot?
it's too Too much flavor and
because
too
I don't want to
bitter.
go to the bathroom all the time. When you drink like a big cup of coffee,
Yeah.
like you just drink like espresso. Like I see it in New York all the time. They just boom, espresso, done.
Espresso
You get
bars.
exactly what you need from this coffee just
Yeah.
in one drink. You
I
know?
I just came from Boston this weekend. We had a race there,
Yeah.
and everyone who's getting coffee was just pretty much like ordering
Mhm.
espresso. It's a thing on the East Coast,
and
isn't
it's
it?
like I don't like we talk about cost. It's very
Yeah.
expensive to get a good cup of coffee sometimes. Like
Yeah.
I'm like, did you get an espresso shot for $3? You
Yep.
know, you get what you need and you move on.
You
know,
move on, yeah.
that's it. But I do like a latte though every once in a while.
Yeah,
I only actually buy coffee. I limit myself to buying a cup of coffee only once a week.
Oh, really?
So like I'll treat myself on a Friday morning to a cup. If not, I'll make it at home.
Oh, okay.
Because then it's like a treat. Then it's like,
Yeah.
oh, I get to buy a cup of coffee. Where am I going? I go to Ale & Co. Piper's is by my house over in South City. Have you been over there?
Yeah.
Yeah, right on South
Piper's.
Kings Highway.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, cute shop.
Yeah. Yeah.
Blueprint over on Hilo over there. That's a
Yeah,
good shop over
by
there too.
Slough.
Yeah, yep, really good shop.
What is your favorite? Do you
My
have, like, a
favorite coffee
coffee
shop
Yeah.
is Ale & Co.
Oh,
It's that
really?
little coffee shop in the back of the market.
Yes.
And I'm not saying that because we work with them, but really they use some of the best milk. They use some of the best. They have a huge vintage brass espresso machine.
Yeah.
I think this thing costs like $30,000. It's crazy.
It's so fancy.
And it's all organic syrups. All like anytime they make a coffee, it's like they go all out
Yeah.
with their coffee. Blueprint has good coffee too.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
So
But no, I appreciate you for coming on, man. We'll have to collab on something pretty soon. Maybe we do a little giveaway when the episode comes out.
Oh,
Let's
heck
give away
yeah.
some coffee.
I'm down for that.
Let's go,
We're
bro.
always like giving out coffee, man.
Yeah. See you next week,
All right.
guys. Peace out. Thanks again for tuning in to the STL Bucket List Show. This podcast is presented by Bankhead and Firth Ortho. Bankhead and Firth is family friendly and family focused right here in St. Louis. They just celebrated their 50-year anniversary and they have 5 locations that are all near you right here in St. Louis. Head over to their website at bankheadandfirthortho.com.
Today they rep St. Louis, yeah. They rep St. Louis. They rep St. Louis.